last week when a couple of thugs went in to rob a 7-Eleven for the third time in recent days. They were robbing it. They were taking all the stuff off the shelves. And finally, the clerk said, I've had about enough of this. And he took out a stick and started beating the robber, called the cops, got the cops there. They were there belatedly. The guy was dealing with it on his own, unfortunately. In a videotape that we showed our audience, do we have it now? Let's show them the original incident. That now, as you watch this, understand now, of course, the clerk is in trouble with the law. Watch this.
God damn. Ain't nothing you can do, man. There's nothing you can do, man. Until you call police.
Showing the guy stealing.
There's nothing you can do, man, until police come in.
Someone's telling the clerk there's nothing you can do.
Don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
There you go. The clerk comes over with some sort of a stick and starts beating the guy, which most normal Americans are totally fine with. Dana, the guy was fine. He was hurt a little, his leg and his arm, but he was asking for a soda when it was done. I mean, it was not like this is not the guy got, killed situation. The one clerk tried to wrestle him down, just with his hands, and he was struggling and he wasn't submitting. And then the other clerk comes in with the what I don't know what that was. It was some sort of a stick. And now, as if on cue, the Stockton cops are investigating, yes, the robbery suspect for robbing, but also the assault, quoting here, of the robbery suspect by the two workers. They actually might put those two workers in jail. They deserve a medal. What do you make of it?
I think that the people who are considering jailing the workers who came in to stop this guy, they ought to be thrown in jail. I love that this guy, he came in with this epic melee attack. It looked like a push broomstick. And he just took care of it. I don't know what that was. One of the hazards, Megyn, of being a burglar is that you FAFO, and everybody knows, you mess around, you could probably find out. And it looks like they found out. That guy should be, get him into MMA. My gosh. I'm sure that they could find him some sponsors. That was pretty epic. He went in and handled it. And I got to say, I know some people, bleeding hearts, whatever. They're like, oh, that's an assault. That was so mean what he did. But honestly, some of us who grew up in Southern Missouri, we got whoopings that were worse than that from our grandmas if we messed up. So, I fail to see where the problem is here.
And so here's the thing. This guy deserves a key to the city, these two guys who stopped him. They had been robbed by this man now, according to KCRA reporting, that at least two other times within the same 24-hour period. The same guy. They are reporting that the day before at 3:41 a.m., which of course is like a sketchy time for these poor workers in the 7-Eleven. You got to worry somebody coming in there at 3:41 a.m. who's up to no good, who's threatening you, might come back, right? So that's what happened. So the 7-Eleven worker the day before reported this suspect going behind the counter and threatening to shoot the clerk if he intervened in his robbery attempt. The suspect then took several packs of cigarettes and a large garbage bag before fleeing. Then the next day at 12:27 a.m., a 7-Eleven worker, same place, reported the suspect demanding money at the store while suggesting that he had a handgun. When the worker didn't comply, the suspect grabbed the items, put in a garbage bag before leaving. At some point later in the morning, the man's believed to have returned to the store, and that's when the beating captured in the viral video took place. So this is, and they described his medical injuries as a result of the beatdown as pain in his leg and shoulder. Pain in his leg and shoulder. This guy, so 3 times in 24 hours he comes in there, he threatens them, he suggests he has a gun, he says he's going to shoot them if they intervene, and then finally on the third time they try to stop and do what the police have not done, and now the police are interested, Dana. Now they're super interested.
They should have been super interested the first time the guys came in there and were robbing the place, or the second time the guys came in there, or the third time the guys came in there, or maybe the store owners could have been concerned the first time because they review the CCTV footage. I'm not an attorney, but I just feel like, Megyn, there's maybe grounds for a countersuit for these staff members because clearly they're working in a very unsafe and hostile environment, and there's no protection afforded to them by the owners of this convenience store. So, their safety and security is just supposed to be at the discretion of, maybe if police decide to show up and enforce the law, or if the store owners decide to allow them the means of self-defense. I mean, I feel bad for these people because, they're business owners too. A lot of these entities, they're franchisees. I feel bad for a lot of these staffers. They work the graveyard shift. That doesn't mean that they should be any less protected. But I just got to go back for a minute because, that was a pretty stellar beatdown. And I like to see criminals get theirs because when you stick it to a criminal, when you stick it to a bully, they kind of stop bullying. They kind of, maybe learn their lesson. Maybe this place will get robbed less if they think that there's going to be pushback. The brazen act of going there. And the guy was making a mess, just like shoving this stuff from the shelves into this bucket. And he didn't even care what he was getting. He was just making a mess. He was just doing it to do it.
He'd already suggested that he was armed. Right. And so these two guys got to worry that potentially their lives are in danger. Meanwhile, the guy, when he was on the ground, was definitely kicking and moving. He was fine, but he was not subdued. So these two now, having confronted him, really have to worry. Look, I have absolutely no problem with what they did. Most Americans have absolutely no problem with what they did. But this reminds me of the Daniel Penny situation, in New York with the subway rider who, the guy was down there threatening everybody. And then thank God he was subdued. Now, in that case, he died. But that Good Samaritan is now facing criminal charges as well.
Which is also a crazy story because that individual, the whole thing that came out about Reddit having a threat on this guy was true. Apparently for years, people were aware of
Michael Jackson impersonator.
His propensity for violence. And they're like, oh, he's not just some Michael Jackson impersonator. He gave that up years ago. And other Redditors were warning each other about, this guy could pop off on this platform. So just kind of be aware of your surroundings. But Megyn, you bring up something interesting here because it's really about the idea of self-defense being considered bad now. It's apparently virtuous to make yourself more acceptable to victims or more acceptable to attackers. It's apparently more virtuous to be a victim than it is to defend yourself because apparently you may hurt the victim's feelings or they may have pains in their legs if you kick them back or something to that effect. But this is just they're trying to, I feel like this restorative justice movement has been trying to mainstream this concept for some time. And that's a very dangerous thing when you cause people who have this in their gut feeling that their safety and security is under threat and maybe they should do something, or maybe, when you cause people to second guess what they're seeing and what they're feeling and make themselves more vulnerable to attack, that's a really dangerous thing, especially when you're not providing greater security or protection by way of enforcement, because restorative justice also, really goes after and attacks enforcement of existing law. So it's self-defense that's under attack here, and it's trying to shame people out of defending themselves. This goes back to the McCluskeys in St. Louis, who had, granted, horrible trigger discipline, and one of them didn't even have an option firearm. But, they were on their private property. I used to live blocks away from that exact neighborhood. That's private property. People broke a fence and trespassed. That was their private property. They take care of their sewer. They literally have to pour the concrete for their own sidewalk. It's a weird area, but that's all their land. And so when you have people who are like busting down your property or the fence, getting onto your property, trespassing, yelling threats, etc., you have every right to, to fear for your life, especially seeing the riots that took place days earlier. But the point is that they were shamed and attacked for merely defending themselves on their own property, the way that Daniel Penny was attacked for defending himself and other passengers. Nobody took into account, Megyn, the passengers who came forward and said, yeah, we were terrified. This guy said he was going to kill us. And now we have this situation with these convenience store workers. This is a trend in America, this restorative justice that's trying to mainstream this denial of self-defense. And this has got to stop because it creates more victims and it empowers the criminals. And the criminals keep getting out.
If you are a business of one, you're probably killing yourself for everything you can earn. So when you're paying a CPA, a bookkeeper, payroll, and other admin services, every dollar out is so painful. Not only does your admin work cost an arm and a leg, it also takes you away from your own billable hours. There's got to be a better way. And guess what? There is. It's called collective.com. Collective was built specifically for businesses of one that are making over $60,000 in profit each year. Collective handles all of the stuff that used to cost a pile of money for just a fraction of the cost. Plus, if you are set up as an LLC or just a sole proprietorship, Collective can elect your S-Corp status. Collective members save an average of $10,000 per year on taxes, and a Collective membership pays for itself within just a few months, not to mention it's 100% tax deductible. The price goes up on September 1st, so lock in your lower rate for a full year today and get an extra $100 off when you go to collective.com/Megyn right now. A team of experts to handle your business formation, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, and business taxes at a small fraction of the cost. Plus, save potentially thousands of dollars each year on taxes. That's collective.com/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.